Vienna is just a perfect mix of old and new, of history and trends in a perfect blend. We just keep coming back, time after time, and every time it is time to leave, it feels like we found even more things we want to explore. Not many cities makes you feel like that. Also, in these problematic times, Vienna feels different from the rest of Europe. It just feels calm and safe. And that in itself is a pretty good reason to visit, in my opinion. In this guide we will show you all the must-dos and places to visit. Have a dinner or enjoy a cocktail. It's all here. This is Ponyo and Pool Shark's ultimate guide to Vienna. We could spend half of this video easily talking about the history and importance that Vienna has played in Europe, about its stunning architecture, massive palaces and gardens. However, there are tons of videos on YouTube surrounding just that, and it's just going to take time off to show you all the things that we would like to recommend. So without further ado, let's get straight to all the wonders that Vienna has to offer. A lot of Vienna can be discovered by just walking. It really feels like wherever you turn, there is always something stunning to see and explore. But here are some things we think is a must to visit and see. Even if you're just like me, not that into art, a visit to the ALBERTINA is more or less a must. And as much as the Louvre in Paris is the biggest museum in Europe, this is by far the best. Walking out from your visit, you will have seen most of the famous paintings and works in the world. From Monet and Chagall to Picasso, they're all here. The museum also have a very nice and cozy restaurant serving only vegetarian dishes, but really good ones. Entry is 19 euros, and I would recommend to set aside at least half a day for this. The Prater is a larger public park in Leopoldstadt. The Prater, however, is an amusement park that is simply often called Prater and lies in one of the corners of the Vienna Prater and includes the famous Wiener Riesenrad Ferris wheel. The amusement park is free to enter and is operated in a pay-to-ride way. It offers everything from children's rides to roller coasters, as well as cafes, restaurants and different play-to-win games. A half day of any visit to Vienna should be set aside for a trip to the SCHÖNBRUNN park. This is where Vienna's might and history shows off in all its might and glory. There is just so much to explore in this area, from the park, palace and monument in itself to the farmhouse orangeries and the world's oldest zoo in Tiergarten Schönbrunn. Gustav KLIMT is probably Vienna's most famous painter of all time, and his legacy can be found all over the city. From his house to his works, the time spent chasing it only depends on your interest surrounding it. But a visit to the Belvedere to see his most famous masterpiece, The Kiss, is something I highly recommend, not only for the art in itself, but the palace and the garden with its amazing architecture. Nachtmarkt looks and feels like no other market in Europe. It's a mixture of stands and restaurants, both indoors and outdoors. This is one of my absolute favorite places to visit. Arrive to stroll a bit and then enjoy a lunch here in any of the numerous places. Then taste your way through all the delis till your belly can't just take it anymore. Free samples are thrown at you literally. Maybe even stay for a beer or a cocktail to welcome the afternoon. Stefanplatz works as the perfect start to any day here. The dome in itself is one of Vienna's most iconic landmarks, but here you will also find all the shopping, cafes and pit stops you could possibly want. And the area and its architecture are just in itself worth the time to explore. You are also quite close to most attractions from here, such as the Albertina and the Opera House. In the Opera House, by the way, all the legends have performed. Mozart, Wagner, Strauss, well worth a visit in itself. Finally here in the Rathauspark, and every summer here in Vienna they set up a massive movie screen and shoot everything from operas to concerts to movies even sometimes. Tonight it is a Freddie Mercury tribute, supposedly, if you look at the schedule, with Queen, so that's probably quite nice. But not only that, inside, except for the fact that it's very nice, is that they put up tents with beers, food and so on, and last time we were here it was just magical, but we came pretty late. This time we will not make the same mistake. We think Vienna is a bit tricky to handle when it comes to transportation. I mean, it works fairly well, it just feels like it's always a lot of changes between subway, overground or S-Bahn to trams and buses. At least just realize that transporting yourself anywhere in Vienna is going to take some time. As long as you count that in, you're going to be just fine. This is also something to take into consideration when choosing where to stay. Last time we visited, it took us around 45 minutes every time we wanted to go to or from the hotel, which most days ended up in just about 3 hours just transporting ourselves somewhere. And we still lived in the city, just in the outskirts. A single ride comes at 2.40, a 24-hour card will land at €8, and finally a ticket valid for 72 hours can be bought for €17.10. STEIRERECK is one of the world's best restaurants according to the world's 50 best site. They have consistently placed themselves in and around the top 10 for years now. They serve a traditional yet fresh take on the Austrian kitchen. We think the food was very nice, yet not as experimental as we might have expected. The service was world class, and what I remember the most was the bread service before dinner and their own produced cheeses and variations that was offered at the end. Downstairs, they have their bistro called MEIEREI in STADTPARK, serving a more wallet-friendly take on their menu, as well as breakfast and lunch. If I could only recommend you one thing to do during a visit in Vienna, both me and Nadia would say a visit to any of the numerous HEURIGER. That's just such an experience in its own, and do come here for dinner. A HEURIGER is best described as a wine tavern. The typical distinctive features include a rustic look, homegrown wine, a buffet wooden outdoor seating, and a slowing of time, almost like a rural answer to the coffee house tradition. Many locals pop out on a summer's afternoon to sit under a spreading wine for a glass or two of the white wine with some bread and cold meats. And I would recommend Grinsing as your area of choice, since they offer a lot of HEURIGER to choose from. At least once during your visit, a visit to any of the old Wiener-style cafes are a must. It offers a time travel experience back to another long-forgotten time where time has stand still. In most Wiener cafes you can hear live music and borrow a newspaper as sipping on your Einspänner, which is an espresso with whipped cream. The SCHWARZENBERG is just a nice relaxing cafe, while Café Central is the oldest one and Café SACHER, set at the SACHER Hotel, is the birthplace of the world famous SACHER cake. Just try one at least. They'll all serve lunch and dinner too, for that matter. Also find in the SACHER Hotel is the BLAU bar. One reservation ahead and you will feel and be treated like the king and queen. I would say that this is probably my favorite bar in the world, with a cocktail menu out of it. If you're here for the first time, go for either a SACHER martini with apricot brandy or a BLAU Negroni. Just a tip. Das LOFT was on the world's 50 best bar list some years ago and still serve a must-visit waterhole for high-end cocktails and world-class view. If you can afford it, Hotel SACHER is a must. It's a no-brainer. It doesn't get more classic than this. The 500 something euros you have to pay per night does not only give you a nice room and probably the best location you could possibly have in Vienna, but also lets you do priority reservations for both the Café SACHER for some cake testing as well as an evening reservation at the BLAU bar. Easily worth it, right? I'm just gonna start saving up for the money right away. Since HILTON Vienna Plaza is a fraction of that price and still gives you all the luxury you could possibly want as well as a stunning location, this might actually be a pretty good choice and still within some sort of reach for even a middle class guy like myself. Renaissance offer a relatively good option in my opinion, and we were very satisfied with our last stay. The rooms and service are next to world class and still at a very affordable price, located close to SCHÖNBRUNN and the subway, a little bit off the central parts of town, but yet very easy to travel to. Last time we visited Vienna, we stayed at the living hotel KAISER FRANZ Joseph. They offer studio apartment, hotel style in the outskirts of the city close to Grinzing and the HEURIGER area, which was the reason we chose it. It came down at a very good price, around 180 euros for 3 nights, booking a long time ahead. We really loved the area in which this hotel is located, close to Vienna's wine district and the HEURIGER. The hotel in itself and the service was just okay, but easily worth the price, although, as I stated earlier, located on a tram line, making the journey into town a 45-minute one with lots of changes. Worth it or not? Well, up to you. Since Paris of late has become something that I really dislike, it now to me feels like Vienna is alongside London becoming one of those absolute choices in Europe. You will never feel bored here, and there's always something new to discover, even after several visits. Christmas markets, shopping, history, art, a culinary hub for both dining or a quick coffee. I try and think about what I could possibly want more in Vienna, and I can't really imagine anything. And every time I set my foot inside any of the traditional Wiener cafes, sipping on a cocktail inside the BLAU bar, dining in any of the numerous HEURIGER on a beautiful summer's night, or just walking the streets of central Vienna, I always feel like this is my absolute favorite place in Europe. And you will too. And if you don't, it's not Vienna, it's you. In the end, always remember, it is not about the destination, it is what you make of it that counts. Till next time, stay safe. Yeah.